The story begins at the 7th high school, located in Jiangzhou. During the quiet of the class, a boy sleeping in the back row suddenly lifts his head. In a state of shock and panting, the MC wakes up with a start. Right after, he strikes the desk violently, yelling that he refuses to accept this situation. Completely confused, Chin Fan looks at his own hands, trying to understand if he ended up in the underworld. Right at that time, the other students start laughing at his face non-stop. With irony, a student asks if the loser was dreaming about the time he was kicked out of the Kyun family. Ignoring the jokes, the young man touches his own body and realizes he is still breathing. Seeing the desk on the floor, he clearly remembers having gone through a devastating defeat. Understanding the context, he deduces that he really went back 500 years into the past. Right to the most difficult moment of his life, immediately after his relatives were kicked out by the main clan. At that time, a rich young man named Wang Zijin and the MC's own fiancé made a point of mocking his expulsion. Later, his parents even managed to build a business from scratch in an attempt to get back on their feet. However, his second uncle set up a ruthless trap, which culminated in the couple's unjust imprisonment. They ended up passing away full of resentment because of that gigantic injustice. To make matters worse, the Du family also came after him, causing severe injuries to his legs. The saddest part was the involvement of his girlfriend Yinuo, which resulted in the young woman's untimely passing. Right when he was on the brink of passing away, his master suddenly appeared in the middle of the rain. The elderly man stated that Kyun Fan had been chosen by the divine path. Therefore, he followed the master to the cultivation universe, a place where he practiced intensely for a century. Overcoming all obstacles, he established himself as the only mortal holy emperor of that time on the continent. He only had to pass the final lightning test to finally achieve eternal life. However, he ended up being defeated and consumed by his own inner demon, which originated from his resentment. The astonishment came right after, upon realizing that divine test had given him a new opportunity to live. Overcome by a mix of relief and revolt, he lets out a hysterical laugh in the middle of the class. Faced with that bizarre scene, the students murmur, thinking the guy has completely lost his mind. Bothered by the noise, the teacher warns that he is going to give him a reality check to bring him back to Earth. With a serious face, the boy promises that this time he will prevent any past frustrations from happening again. The educator strikes the desk hard, imitating the sound of a whip to get the students' attention. Without paying attention to the noise, Kyun Fan swears that his second uncle has no idea he got a second chance. Startled by the boy's attitude, the teacher takes a step back, while the students are left completely confused. The MC notices that his current body is still way too weak to allow the proper circulation of spiritual energy. Regaining his posture, the educator orders everyone to be quiet right away. He scolds the class, declaring that this kind of mess is unacceptable in a college prep class. Trying to make the situation worse, a student snitches that Kyun Fan was sleeping and woke up screaming out of nowhere. Taking the cue, the teacher insults the young man, calling him disrespectful and criticizing his appearance. In silence, the young man remembers how this same individual treated him like garbage when he was banished by his relatives. Without any patience, the educator orders him to leave the room and stand in the hallway for a timeout. Noticing the cynicism, Kyun Fan smiles ironically and asks if having a basic degree makes him superior to others. Shocked by the disrespect, the man is left speechless seeing a student challenge him like that. Trembling with anger, the old man yells, asking if the young man has any idea who he is talking to. Calmly, the boy tells him to his face that he is just a relative of the principal, kept around by favors from rich people. The individual gets desperate and orders the guy to shut his mouth right away, visibly shaken by the truth. Remembering what he went through, the MC recalls that, before he had no choice but to silently endure that humiliation. However, warning that things have changed, he hears the teacher yelling that he is suspended for 1 week. Unfazed, Kyun Fan keeps walking, focused on collecting all the debts from his past life with interest. The educator thinks the punishment solved the problem and gets furious upon noticing the young man's arrogant smile. Wanting to humiliate him even more, the old man mentions that, last time, the boy's parents begged so he wouldn't have to stop studying. Just hearing this, the boy takes a step forward, completely changing his posture. With a scowl, he asks how that man has the nerve to insult his family. He lands a violent backhand slap right across the teacher's face. Because of the impact, the guy is thrown far away and falls, smashing some desks, startling everyone. Looking back, the MC warns that anyone who crosses his path will face the exact same fate. Lying on the floor, the educator cries in pain and promises that he will expel him because of that aggression. Very coldly, Kyun Fan responds by stating that he only got a slap thanks to the good upbringing he received from his parents. The old man continues groaning in a corner, completely humiliated in front of the whole class. Upon leaving the place, the young man reflects that he still doesn't have enough strength and needs to focus on getting stronger in a hurry. Half an hour later, he arrives at the most underprivileged and abandoned area of the city. Walking through the narrow streets, he confesses to himself that he never imagined he would return to that place after so much time. The last time, it was the old residence left by his grandmother that ensured a shelter so the family wouldn't go hungry. As soon as he arrives, he spots his parents working exhaustively in the backyard. Worried, his father drops his tools and asks why he came back from high school so early. His mother, on the other hand, runs up to him, asking if someone bothered him on the way. Overcome with emotion, Kin Fan pulls them both into a tight hug, saying he missed them a lot. In his past life, because of his uncle's cruel setups, he didn't even get the chance to say goodbye before their passing. The parents are completely disoriented by that sudden and intense show of affection. Patting the young man's back, his father jokes, saying that a man must always show himself to be strong. Wiping away his tears, the boy agrees and promises that, this time, he will defend them at any cost. Right at that time, a luxury car pulls up in front of the modest house, drawing the neighbors' attention. Upon identifying the arrogant man stepping out of the vehicle, the MC immediately scowls. It is Zhou Yihang, the patriarch of the Zhou family and the very ungrateful guy who betrayed his family in the past. The young man's father greets the rich man politely, asking the reason for that unexpected visit. Breaking the friendliness, the guy in the suit tells his daughter not to waste time talking to people of that class. The elegant young woman agrees, saying that her ex, Fianki, doesn't even deserve a look from her. Ignoring the insults, Kin Fan just stares at them in silence, already planning his next steps. Without any shame, Zhou Yihang points his finger and announces that he came there to cancel the engagement once and for all. The MC hears the rich man declare that individuals from different social classes should not be in a relationship. Rejecting the proposal on the spot, he warns that the two of them have no moral ground to judge him in this lifetime. Schumann gets outraged by the comeback and insults the guy, calling him a toad that wants to eat swan meat. The mother protects her son and asks, full of anger, if old Joe came to their house just to talk nonsense. Next, the rich man pretends to be polite by telling his daughter to behave, and rubs it in their faces that they are no longer part of the main family. Li Qunfan reminds him that it was his own father who helped the Joes back in the day. He lists that all the money and contacts of that ungrateful family appeared because of that support. Being deceitful, Joe tries to calm things down by saying he just wants to protect the young people's future. Dropping the act, the young woman offers 10 million to cancel the marriage agreement, while her father pretends to reprimand her. The boy glares at both of them with contempt and asks if they are treating the daughter as if she were a cheap product. Without tolerance, the young woman points her finger and tells him to stop trying to take advantage of an old piece of paper. Right after, she tries to slap him, insulting him for not being worthy of her company. Quickly, the guy blocks the attack by holding the girl's arm tightly. Squeezing her wrist, he guarantees that, if his parents weren't there, the two of them wouldn't leave that place in one piece. In pain, the young woman grumbles and is amazed by the monstrous strength of that loser. Completely out of tolerance, the MC pushes her to the ground and tells them both to get lost. While helping his daughter up, Joe realizes that their reputation will be destroyed if the situation leaks. Trying to keep up appearances, the guy holds back his anger and reiterates that he came peacefully to talk. To stop the rich folks, the guy orders the girl to do 100 bows begging for forgiveness, and swears he will annihilate their family's influence. He asks his parents for a vote of confidence and watches the rich people walk away. Walking toward the vehicle, the spoiled girl grumbles that she wants to destroy that piece of trash, but her father warns that they will fall back for now. Nervous about the setback, the man in the suit wonders how that cowardly boy managed to ruin the entire plan. He guarantees his daughter that he has several other ways to handle things with people of that kind. In Joe's perspective, the boy only shows so much arrogance because of that cursed contract. Already inside the luxurious car, the guy tells the driver to step on it, promising a disastrous end for the family. Quickly, the imported car disappears through the streets of the poor neighborhood. Observing the empty street, Qunfan deduces that he will need to take the initiative before the rich folks return. Worried, his mother touches her son's arm and notices how his attitude has completely transformed. Turning to his parents, he calmly explains that they can no longer keep living that way. Holding his mother's hands, the MC swears that they will never let anyone put them down again. Faced with such a strong oath, the two are completely perplexed. Emotional, the woman pulls her son into a hug and states that he will always be the couple's greatest source of pride. Returning the affection, the guy guarantees that their destiny will go through a radical change from that moment on. During the night, he leaps over the city buildings, determined to change the laws of that world. Realizing that the spiritual energy on Earth is very weak, the young man decides to look for a suitable place to train. With a precise jump, he lands smoothly on the edge of a tall building. War-bathed in the moonlight, the guy takes a deep breath, while analyzing the surrounding landscape. Noticing an energy current nearby, he celebrates his enormous luck in finding a perfect spot so fast. Already in the city park, a bluish energy starts circling around him near the lake. Sitting in the lotus position, he absorbs the strength of the area and notices it will be enough to level up. In the middle of the process, the cultivator understands that losing his past power wasn't entirely bad. Before, the rush to evolve made his foundation vulnerable and led him straight to ruin. This time, he focuses on building a perfect foundation from the very beginning to achieve true immortality. With the sunrise, the deep meditative practice continues peacefully among the trees. Suddenly, a blast of magical energy pushes the water away around the rock. Opening his eyes forcefully, the young man's pupils glow in an intense golden color. Excited by the discovery, he clenches his fists upon noticing he activated the flaming golden eyes. Standing up, he reflects that, even though his cultivation is low, this visual ability will be very useful. An old man practicing martial arts finds the boy's figure very curious. Moving his arms lightly, the elderly man comments that it's uncommon to see young people practicing meditation so early. The MC stretches and replies in a relaxed manner that he was just absorbing the ambient energy. The elderly man tells him to make himself at home, and the boy decides to go back home before his parents wake up. Watching the young man walk away, the old master shows a curious expression regarding that individual. At that moment, a bodyguard in a suit steps up and asks if he should investigate the suspicious kid. Dismissing the suggestion, the elderly man focuses on what matters and asks what time his granddaughter returns from her trip. Upon learning that her flight will land soon, the old man gets excited to enjoy some time with the girl. Arriving at the front gate, Fan announces loud and clear that he has returned. He hands a bag to his mother, using the excuse that he went for a run and took the chance to bring breakfast. In another part of the city, a criminal watches the guy from afar and confirms who the target is over the phone. With bad intentions, the thug accepts the job on his cell phone, thinking the target is nothing more than a harmless teenager. The scene transitions to the luxurious Joe household during the day. Lying back relaxed on the sofa, the rich girl orders over the phone that her henchmen make the boy suffer slowly. In the humble house, the mother holds her son's arm in despair after answering a call from the school. Asking her to calm down, the young man justifies that he only taught the teacher a lesson because he insulted their family. With a determined look, he swears that in 3 days the principal will come crawling to them to beg for forgiveness. The parents are completely lost by their son's courage upon hearing such an absurd thing. As soon as he turns around, his mother asks where he is going, and he replies that he will use his free time to practice. Justifying his departure, the MC states that he needs to get stronger in a hurry to defend the family. Seeing his son walk through the gate, the father comments in awe about the radical change in his attitude. Back at the municipal park lake, the cultivator resumes sucking in energy at an impressive rate. Sweating a lot because of the effort, he calculates that he is very close to breaking the mortal limit. Nearby, the old master notices that the young man has returned, while the security guard senses something weird in the air. Startled, the man in the suit warns that the air around them is being sucked away rapidly. Shocked by that impossible phenomenon, the old man widens his eyes as he understands what is happening. Looking from a distance, the elderly man realizes with amazement that the boy is actually practicing cultivation. However, the peace of the moment is interrupted by heavy footsteps heading toward the spot. A bunch of troublemakers appears, and the red-haired leader announces that someone paid a good amount to beat the guy up. Finishing his training, the MC calmly dissolves the energy aura around him. The criminal gets closer arrogantly, stating that the guy's time has come and that he missed such a simple job. Seeing the situation, the bodyguard in the suit asks if the boss wants him to take care of the problem. Taking a sip of tea, the elderly man orders him just to watch it first, to see if the kid is truly extraordinary. Annoyed by being ignored, the leader orders his men to record everything perfectly to send to whoever hired them later. Charging forward with a bat, he yells for them not to miss a single second of the target's screams of suffering. Full of confidence, the redhead delivers an aggressive strike, promising that he will make the guy beg for mercy right away. Realizing he only hit the air, the thug is completely confused by the speed of the dodge. Showing no difficulty, Fan lands a precise strike that sends the muscular man flying away, screaming. The casually getting up from the ground, the cultivator states that that bunch arrived at the perfect time. Holding the enemy's weapon, he analyzes that he just leveled up and really needed a warm-up. Terrified, another yells at his buddies, asking everyone to rush him together, since he is just a kid. Driven by money, the partners attack, remembering that the guy is worth 200,000. With impressive reflexes, the young man lands a swift strike with the weapon and knocks the first attacker to the ground. Giving no chance to defend, he delivers another quick strike right after, making the second henchman collapse screaming. Watching his men get defeated, the redhead panics, not understanding how that is happening. The security guard confesses to being shocked by the guy's skills, and the elderly man smiles, finding the situation very interesting. Right at that time, the voice of a woman yelling for her grandfather echoes through the park, catching the attention of the two men in suits. Surrounded by the fallen enemies, the boy throws the weapon away, grumbling that they weren't even good enough for a warm-up. He declares his own name out loud, guaranteeing that he has become someone nobody will dare to provoke again. With a dark look on his face, the cultivator remembers that in his past life, this same gang hunted him down too. Back then, the cowards cornered him in a dark alley and beat him up without any mercy. Pulling the leader by the hair, he clearly recalls the thug telling him to stop bothering the Joe family. The memory of that wicked smile threatening to hurt his parents makes the MC boil with hatred. Returning to the present, the redhead cries out of fear, begging for his well-being and blaming the rich folks. Getting straight to the point, Kyun-fan demands the payment money, and the criminal, trembling, hands over the card and the PIN number. Pocketing the item, he notes that the rich girl just wanted to silence him, fully convinced that her plan is going to fail. Suddenly, a young woman comes running and yells from afar for him to stop that. The young Xiao Xuan gets closer, furious, calling his attitude a crime, while her grandfather tries to calm her down but fails. Taking advantage of the moment, the redhead fakes being the victim and begs the pretty lady to protect him from the attack. With no patience for theatrics, the MC delivers a powerful kick that sends the criminal flying away. The leader of the hooligans falls face first into the bushes, grumbling in pain because of the hard hit. Seeing such audacity right in front of her, the young woman foams with rage for being completely ignored. Not caring about her fit of rage, the guy asks the henchman on the phone if he managed to record everything properly. Showing off the bank card, he tells the cameraman to tell the rich girl that he is taking that money back in his place. He guarantees that he will prepare a gigantic surprise for next time, right when the girl jumps to attack him. The bodyguard still tries to warn her that this is a big misunderstanding, but the young woman has already started the offensive. Demanding that he explain himself to the police, she charges at him trying to land a decisive blow. Easily dodging the high kick, Kyun-fan analyzes her stance, observing that she is pretty but lacks real strength. With a simple movement, he pins the girl by turning her around, making her struggle and curse non-stop. Terrified to see his boss in danger, the security guard runs very fast, ordering him to let her go immediately. The guy in the suit throws an extremely heavy punch, but the boy blocks the impact using only the palm of his hand. Seeing that impossible defense, the grandfather widens his eyes, completely shocked. The pinned girl also can't accept the strength she is witnessing. Holding the guy's hand, Kyun-fan notes that he is a martial arts fighter, and that he took the initiative to attack. Since the situation escalated, the guy decides it's okay to be a little rougher. With a quick counterattack to the chest, he knocks the bodyguard backward, kicking up dust in the air. The old man yells his employee's name in despair upon seeing him fall heavily to the ground. Trembling, the young woman tries to understand how an elite army fighter was beaten like that. She can't wrap her head around the fact that a high-level soldier was defeated by a kid with a single strike. To avoid a bigger disaster, the old man steps forward quickly and apologizes for the two's lack of responsibility. He explains that his granddaughter came back from a trip recently and acted on impulse, thinking the boy was the bad guy in the story. The young woman realizes he was just defending himself, and the MC confirms that he only took the opportunity to take the thug's money. Fleeing full of dread in the background, the criminals cry, repeating that the Joe family forced them to do that. Tired of that mess, the guy lets go of the girl's hands and pushes her away calmly. With irony, he congratulates the young woman's sense of justice, but suggests she use it on the right person next time. The grandfather shows gratitude for the young man's tolerance and asks for his name, hoping to make up for all the rudeness later. As he leaves, the boy warns that he doesn't want to get close, but decides to give a piece of advice, since chance brought them together. Without looking back, he suggests that the older man take the security guard to the doctor and take the opportunity to get an emergency checkup for himself. This abrupt and precise recommendation leaves the two completely shocked in the middle of the park. Reflecting on the strength shown, the elderly man concludes that, to beat his security guard, the boy can only be a legendary grandmaster. The girl gets worried, grumbling that it's impossible for someone so young to be such an exceptional talent in martial arts. Fascinated, the old man guarantees that the boy is out of the ordinary and sees him as a divine chance for the Yi family. He is absolutely certain that that mysterious cultivator is going to become the strongest person in the country's history. Far from there, a cell phone is violently thrown against the wall, followed by a piercing scream of fury. In her luxurious room, the spoiled rich girl breaks everything, outraged upon finding out that the thugs failed ridiculously. With an evil expression, she wonders if that useless loser faked being weak his whole life. Soon after, however, she regains her composure and decides that some fighting skills mean nothing against the true power of a wealthy family. Holding a red lipstick, the cruel woman ridicules the chance of her ex-fiancé preparing a surprise. Touching up her makeup, she laughs, saying that her father has already set a perfect trap and can't wait to see him beg for pity. The next day, a conversation about a 6 million relocation compensation takes over the new neighborhood. At mealtime, the MC excitedly hears his mother suggest that they use the money to open their own business. Eating his food calmly, Kyun-fan remembers that his parents' starting money in his past life was exactly the Joe's 10 million. Intrigued by the coincidence, he finds it weird that this relocation amount popped up right after he chased the rich folks out of there. Since his mother doesn't understand the situation, the young man firmly asks his parents to leave this negotiation in his hands. Thinking 6 million is a very low amount, the MC guarantees he will force the suits to pay a fair sum. Later that night, luxury cars start pulling up at a massive high-class casino in the city. Inside, the spoiled girl struts around showing off her elegance and receives compliments from a young man about her exclusive dress. Next to the young hair-son Yiming, she thanks the flatterer, stating that she dressed up quite a bit for the event. The suited man evaluates the room and notes that the Yi family invited the elite from all fields, making it the perfect occasion to network. Excited about the opportunity, the girl plans to be the center of attention at the party of the biggest secret casino in Jiangzhou. Right at that time, the guests start whispering in shock upon seeing the former heir of the Kyun family placing high bets and winning. The table attendant congratulates the player for profiting 2 million in chips all at once. Noticing the commotion, the guy turns his head and greets his ex-fiancée with an ironic tone. Holding a glass, he states that he was looking for exactly someone to compete with, leaving the young woman completely perplexed. Next to her, Sun mocks the situation while the other rich people conclude that the kid went broke and went to try his luck out of desperation. Unbothered, the cultivator rubs it in the girl's face that his initial 200,000 came exactly from the offer she gave him. Intrigued, Yiming asks if the girl knows the young man, but she changes the subject, saying it was just an old business deal of their parents. Completely enraged, Jimin tries to belittle the MC, stating that that place is not for penniless failures. Joining the argument, the preppy guy concludes that the reject of the Kyun family wants to take advantage of his girlfriend's kindness. Finding the statement funny, the boy questions the title of girlfriend with a sarcastic face. He pulls the engagement contract out of his pocket and proposes betting the paper along with the money, in case the spoiled girl beats him in the game. Threatening to tell everyone the truth if she refuses, he makes the young woman let out a gasp of panic and accept the challenge immediately. Full of hatred, she tells the guy to disappear forever when he gets defeated, while her rich partner offers to teach him a lesson for her. Excited for the showdown, Kyun-fan sets the rules of a dice game where whoever rolls the highest number wins. The suited guy agrees right away, arrogantly warning that his opponent is digging his own grave. The rich folks around laugh at the situation, commenting that the young hair son is a natural master at this kind of game. Full of confidence in his skills, the rich kid shakes the dice cup, promising he will crush his rival's arrogance. On the other side, the cultivator repeats the same movement with unshakable tranquility. With a swift motion, the rich guy slams the metal cup hard on the betting table. Revealing 26 points, he receives applause from the crowd, who consider that score almost unbeatable. However, the ex-heir lifts his cup, showing the maximum score, and apologizes for his opponent's bad luck. The employee announces the boy as the winner, leaving the rich kid outraged for having lost by such a small margin. Collecting the chips, the MC declares that he won the game and that his ex-fiancée lost the bet. Refusing to accept it, she says that what happened was pure luck and demands a new round in a best-of-3 format. Accepting the condition, the cultivator decides to increase the pressure by betting his own home's deed, valued at 6 million. Holding the house paper, he guarantees that he will sign over the property transfer right then and there if he loses. The spoiled girl is shocked to note that this is the exact amount her father had offered for the modest house. Wanting to add fuel to the fire, Kyun-fan calls for anyone in the audience to cover the bets if the girl's money isn't enough. With wounded pride, the couple falls for the provocation, and Sun guarantees that his family will pay half the amount to bankrupt his opponent. In the next match, the preppy guy strikes the cup hard and decides that now the lowest number is the winner. Showing only 7 points total, he celebrates prematurely, thinking he already won. Telling the guy to go pick up trash on the street with his family, he is surprised by a mocking smile from his rival. The MC reveals he rolled exactly 6 points and ironically asks who the real winner is. The rich couple goes into shock upon realizing they lost again by just a 1-point difference. Keeping the superior attitude, the young man mocks, asking if they want to try a best of 5 or even a best of 7. Completely out of control, Yiming yells that he will keep playing, as he can't accept that piece of trash having so much luck forever. The dispute drags on through the place, with money changing hands several times in a brutal series. After another round, the employee announces the MC's victory, who has just accumulated the absurd amount of 1 billion. Sitting in front of a mountain of money, he asks in a mocking tone why the rich folks suddenly stopped laughing. Rich Kid snaps, yelling that it's impossible for them to have lost every time and accusing his opponent of cheating. Upon standing up to collect his prize, the cultivator is suddenly stopped by the table attendant. The man in the suit politely asks the customer to accompany him to the reception room to talk to the manager. Agreeing to go, the guy demands that his chips be converted into cash first, but the employee just repeats the request for him to follow. More relieved by the interruption, the spoiled girl is sure that her ex finally sealed his own fate by daring to cheat in that dangerous place. Upon entering the fancy office, the young man is greeted by a team of security guards with serious faces. Sitting in a bossy manner, the casino manager gets straight to the point and orders him to confess how he rigged the game. Cleaning his ear with total nonchalance, Fan blames it on luck and states that the whole crowd is proof that he played fair. Rejecting the excuse, the boss highlights how ridiculous it is for a broke guy with no gambling experience to try and pull a scam right in his casino. Without tolerance, the suited man orders his henchmen to attack to test how far the kid's courage goes. However, before anyone touches him, the cultivator unleashes a strong blue aura, complaining about the place's terrible hospitality. In another room of the same building, a mysterious guy talks on the phone calmly, instructing a young woman to take good care of an elderly man's health checkup. Being bothered right after, the mafia boss Jizu answers another call, complaining about being interrupted with unimportant matters. On the other end of the line, the casino manager begs for help with a completely terrified voice. Thrown on the floor of the destroyed office, the suited man desperately reports an intruder just took down all the guards in the place. Furious with the news, the boss wants to know right away who had the audacity to cause trouble in his territory. Grabbing the defeated guy's cell phone, Fan introduces himself calmly and warns that he is on his way to collect his prize in person from the owner. Walking through the casino's outdoor area, he takes the manager as a hostage, while the man swears that the kid has gotten himself into a fatal problem. The beaten employee makes a point to emphasize that the Yi family is a supreme military force, and that no apology will save him now. Trying to instill fear, the suited man guarantees that the boss's personal guards are much superior fighters compared to normal security. Ignoring the warning completely, the cultivator replies saying he didn't go there to beat up weak people, but to get a helpful partner. The idea of making the Yi clan become a mere helper leaves the hostage perplexed by the kid's insanity. In silence, the MC thinks that even involved with the mafia, that family's reputation is much more honorable than that of his ex-relatives. In his previous life, those mobsters never tried to destroy his parents and even maintained fair business deals with them during the tough times. Thinking about the future, he concludes that using the Yi family as a shield will prevent a lot of headaches while he focuses only on his training. In that instant, the sound of heavy footsteps and metal briefcases echoes through the courtyard of the large and luxurious complex. An army of men in suits quickly surrounds the duo, making the manager celebrate the arrival of help with shouts of relief. All the guys in suits bow in reverence, greeting Mr. Kyun with great respect. Completely shocked by the scene, the manager yells without understanding anything, while the boy just observes the situation calmly. At that point, a man in an overcoat steps up quickly, begging for forgiveness for the poor reception and explaining that it took a little while to gather all the cash. He signals for the men to open the briefcases packed with money and shows the 1 billion prize that the young man just won at the casino. Still in disbelief, the employee stutters, asking the reason why the boss is treating an outcast of the Kyun family that way. With absolutely no patience for the disrespect, the mobster harshly scolds the manager, telling the idiot to shut his mouth right away. Furious, he orders them to get that cheeky individual out of his sight right now and punish him with termination, based on the family's strict military rules. While the guy is dragged away crying for forgiveness, the man in the suit formally introduces himself as Ye Jizu, the fourth heir of the clan and owner of the place. Apologizing for his employee's behavior, the boss guarantees he will do whatever possible to fulfill any of the boys' requests as a way to fix the mistake. The MC asks if this is the first time they meet, and the mobster confirms, but points out that the boy's father was a great benefactor to the Ye family. Intrigued by the information, the cultivator asks if he is talking about the former leader of the family. Right at that time, the loud noise of an approaching helicopter catches the guy's attention, and he looks at the sky surprised by the sudden arrival. To his shock, the young woman from the park and the elderly man step out of the vehicle, and the old man greets the boy with a lot of excitement. Ye Jizu runs to welcome his daughter, making Qin Fan connect the dots and realize that the old man is that feisty girl's grandfather. That respected man is none other than Yi Kongjin, the supreme leader of the Yi family and one of the most important generals in the country. Worried, the casino owner asks why his father left the hospital so fast, but quickly gets scolded by the old man, who warns about the tragedy that almost happened there. The general steps closer, commenting on the coincidence that brought them together again, while his granddaughter explains that she was talking to her grandfather on the phone and heard the mess in her father's casino. With a humble posture, the elderly man asks the boy to accept the Ye family's sincere apologies, wanting to start a good friendship. Imitating her grandfather's attitude, the young woman gives a deep bow, visibly embarrassed by the previous commotion in the park. Satisfied with the attitude, the MC thinks that dealing with people from the military background is much easier because they recognize and respect true power. Taking advantage of the good moment, Yi Jizu makes himself entirely available to the boy and even offers to give him the fancy casino as formal compensation. Calmly refusing the offer, Qin Fan states that they are partners now, but notes that carrying all that cash is going to be a bit complicated. At the same time, inside the main hall, the preppy guy complains to the boy's ex-fiancée about how that nuisance ruined their night. Clinging to the rich guy, the spoiled girl hears him promise that they are going to humiliate the young man terribly as soon as the security guards throw him beaten up on the street. However, the people present begin to whisper in terror as they see the guy returning to the hall without a single scratch and oozing confidence. Accompanied by the boss's guards, the cultivator naturally orders them to put all his money in the car, being obeyed immediately. Upon hearing the men call the boy Zur, the two rich folks are completely paralyzed with dread, not understanding the plot twist. Walking calmly to the betting table, the former heir announces that he has already collected his prize and only came back to hand over the final chip of the game. Showing an ironic smile, he holds up the old engagement paper and looks at his ex-partner with an expression of total disgust. The spoiled girl immediately panics upon realizing that the document exposes her betrayal with the young master son to everyone. The guests quickly start talking about the Zhou family's ingratitude, remembering that they only moved up in life because of the massive help from the Chun clan in the past. Without hesitation, the MC rips the paper in half and declares out loud that the young woman is not worthy of joining his family, officially ending the engagement. Tossing the pieces of paper in the air as if they were trash, he calls on all the people to witness the scene and announces he is covering the drinks for the party. Being humiliated in front of the entire elite, the wicked woman screams in fury, but her rich partner steps away quickly, saying he doesn't want to get involved with a rejected woman. Desperate, she tries to hold on to the rich kid, but is forcefully pushed away as he insults her as useless for trying to trick him with that engagement story. Leaving his ex-fiancée crying on the floor, the guy turns his back and sarcastically says he hopes she really enjoyed the little surprise. Walking to the exit with an arrogant attitude, he reflects that that show was just the beginning of his true revenge. In the late afternoon of the next day, the young man returns to his humble neighborhood, excited and imagining that the money he won will buy a hearty dinner for his parents. Through the window, his mother spots a fancy, limited edition car pulling up on the street and finds the situation weird, knowing that their old relatives don't have money for that. Out of the luxurious vehicle steps the school principal accompanied by some mean-looking men, being welcomed by the crime boss who calls him brother-in-law. The suited man complains that the embarrassment he went through in the classroom turned into such a huge humiliation that he didn't even have the face to go to the casino party last night. Walking up the stairs of the simple building, the principal swears he won't let a poor student escape unpunished and plans to teach an unforgettable lesson in front of his entire family. Full of malice, he suggests to the henchmen that they be very violent with the boy, since the Chun family no longer has any power in the city. Stopping right in front of the old door, the man adjusts his clothes and guarantees he will show in the cruelest way how life in that world is unforgiving. However, as soon as the door opens, the principal's joyful face disappears as he comes face to face with elite soldiers standing in the middle of the living room. Completely lost by the strange situation, the invaders stand still at the door, not understanding what is happening inside the poor apartment. The principal, sweating with tension, whispers to his brother-in-law, thinking they got the wrong floor and broke into the house of authorities by mistake. At this moment, a familiar voice rings out from the end of the hallway, drawing the attention of the two invaders with a mocking tone. With his hands in his pockets, the MC appears walking calmly and asks why they didn't give a heads up that they were going to visit. Regaining his swagger, the old man in the suit yells, ordering the boy to call his parents right away, so that everyone kneels in front of him. Pointing his finger angrily, the principal promises he will make the young man beg for mercy for having had the audacity to break the school rules. Immediately, the soldiers charge forward forcefully and overpower the entire group, making the principal scream in despair, demanding to be let go. Keeping a firm stance, the troop commander looks directly at the cultivator and asks what he wishes to do with those unwanted people. Finding the home delivery comical, the guy listens to the officer guarantee that only one order is needed for the problem to be solved right away. Pinned to the floor with his face smashed, the old man widens his eyes in absolute terror upon realizing that those high-ranking military men are taking orders from a mere student. Desperate, the educator tries to command respect, yelling that joining some random gang doesn't give the young man the right to go up against his authority. At the boy's request, the military man releases the suited guy, who gets up quickly, fixing his clothes and bragging about the support of the biggest corporate groups in the city. With an arrogant smile, the old man mocks, thinking the MC let him go because he was afraid of his major connections. Ending the conversation swiftly, Kyun-fan steps forward rapidly and acts with extreme brutality against the loudmouth principal. Shocked, the leader of the troublemakers screams in despair, seeing his brother-in-law getting badly beaten, cowering on the floor without the courage to intervene. Surprised by the boy's coldness, the military men praise Master Chun's severe attitude with a lot of excitement. Thrown on his back, the principal holds his injured face and screams in fury, unable to swallow that kid had the nerve to hit him again. With absolutely no pity, the young man delivers a brutal punishment to the oppressive old man, causing a piercing scream of pain that echoes through the whole place. The violent scene makes the suited man squirm, and even the trained guards break into a cold sweat seeing the severe punishment. Looking at the scum at his feet, the MC coldly lists all of the principal's corrupt crimes, ranging from stealing money to abuses against the teachers. With dark look, the cultivator reveals he knows about all the humiliating videos the old man secretly spread to flatter the elite of the Kyun family. Hearing his worst secrets being exposed, the guy goes into shock and stutters, asking how the student found out about all that. Trying to turn the tables, the principal spits blood and threatens that it just takes one call to end the boy, using the power of his former family. Accepting the challenge, the young man hands his own cell phone to the old man and lets him call his strongest connection, begging for immediate help. Holding the phone in a panic, the suited man insults the guy as an idiot for not knowing that the second heir of the military Yi family goes to that exact school. Right at that time, Yi Jizu enters the apartment politely, carrying a box, and is immediately recognized by his nephew in uniform. The soldier gets desperate hearing his name being used as a threat in such an irresponsible way and yells, begging the guy to ignore the principal's nonsense. Upon identifying the mafia boss at the door, the educator turns pale and stutters, not understanding what such an important person is doing there with them. Understanding the situation quickly, the mobster clarifies that his nephew only goes to that school because of the teaching level and that the Yi family has absolutely no connection to the high school. Finally understanding the truth, the old suited man looks around and freaks out in panic upon noting that all the military men belong to the untouchable Yi family. Shocked, the principal points his finger and questions the big boss about why he is protecting a mere outcast boy. With zero patience, Yi Jizu smokes his cigar and warns in a threatening way that getting rid of him quickly would be an act of kindness. Feeling his soul leave his body from so much fear, the old suited man agrees on the spot, stuttering in total obedience. The gang leader falls on his back, completely terrified upon realizing that the boy really managed to get the army's backing. Trembling and sweating cold, the educator looks at the student with dread and begs to know what he did to achieve such prestige. Very naturally, the MC states that he just dropped by the casino and made some easy cash. Right at that time, the staff in suits starts organizing a massive amount of fancy food on the humble table of the house. The boy's parents are completely lost with that fancy banquet appearing out of nowhere in front of them. The mother asks what is going on, while the father deduces the men came specially to apologize. Crying a lot, the principal degrades himself, confessing that they acted like animals and charged absurd fees from the family. His mobster relative also kneels begging for forgiveness, while the mother finds it weird that the money is being returned in cash. Taking control, Yi Jizu guarantees the parents that the evidence of the crimes is undeniable and that his family will handle the justice. Reassuring his parents, Kyun-fan guarantees that they no longer need to worry about school problems. Changing the subject quickly, the cultivator asks the mobster about the progress of the business deals they had planned. The father shows a lot of gratitude for the financial help, but the crime boss responds with humility that from now on the families are partners. Ye Jizu calls the boy for a private chat, explaining that his uncle prepared a special dinner to celebrate. Walking down the hallway, the guy in the suit says he already ordered the deletion of all photos and evidence of the mess that happened at the school. Handing over some vials, the cultivator tells old Yi to take those medicinal herbs to improve his health. Satisfied with the loyalty shown, the guy leaves his parents' protection in the hands of the henchman so he can focus on his goals. Shifting to a serious tone, the mobster admits that his family needs a huge favor from the young master. Having the green light to proceed, Jizu explains that the clan works together with the military and often crosses paths with martial arts fighters. He reports that 9 years ago, the family was almost destroyed by a very dangerous hitman. The enemy is called Lan Jiaoxing, a guy rumored to have reached the peak of martial arts in the country. Back then, the army kicked the thug out for 10 years, but they are certain he held a grudge and is coming back soon to get revenge. Understanding the strategy, Fan concludes that they want him as a strong ally, but the big boss corrects him, calling him a guardian deity. Offering total obedience, the suited man guarantees that the entire family is willing to serve as a foundation for the boy's evolution. Finding the bold proposal amusing, the former heir replies casually that he really liked their attitude. With a firm handshake, the two seal the deal and promise together from that moment on. Returning to his dark room, the MC sits on the bed and focuses all his energy for an intense training session. Holding a glowing seal, he reflects that he will have almost no enemies on Earth as soon as he reaches the master level. Excited about the next steps, the young man produces a golden flame on his fingers and tosses the mystical paper into the air. Watching the magic fire dancing in his hand, he gets ready to begin the complicated process of alchemy. In a swift motion, he throws the healing plants into the magic fire, commanding the reaction to start right away. As it burns, he notes that common herbs have little energy, but the quantity is enough to create basic pills. With the elements floating around him, the boy grumbles that this starting fire is too weak and won't do for the future. Right after, he swallows one of the newly created pills, knowing they will get the job done for his current level. Sitting in a state of deep meditation, the cultivator activates the legendary blue firmament technique to absorb the energy. With the mystical aura swirling fiercely, he focuses on locking all that magical power directly into his body. Opening his eyes brightly, the MC declares that, finally, he is strengthening his mortal form. The very next day, the guy arrives with an imposing posture at the Yi family household and is welcomed with greetings by all the staff. Walking through the massive hallways, he is greeted by the old general, who shows joy in seeing him again. The elderly man is very thankful for the medicine given the day before, saying that even the doctors were shocked by the rapid improvement. Keeping his humility, Fan warns that capsule only served to prep the old man's body for today's real treatment. Trusting the boy completely, the general's granddaughter says she'll leave him in good hands and leaves the room along with the guards. With the room completely empty, the former heir points to the chair and politely asks the older man to sit down. While the door closes, the MC reflects to himself as he remembers the name of a young man called Yi Haoxuan. Directing blue energy to the elderly man's back, the young man recalls that he was the only rich kid who tried to help him in the past. In a painful memory, he relives the rainy afternoon when he was violently attacked by a group of bullies on the street. He thrown and beaten on the ground, he saw a boy in a red hoodie step in front of the thugs to defend him. The leader of the criminals, son of an influential person in the city, mocked the hero, saying that the trash had dirtied his new shoes. The attacker demanded that the kid kneel to pay for the offense, but the boy in the jacket offered to pay for the damage in his place. Completely overpowered by fear, the old Fan caved to the pressure and kneeled in the puddle of water without putting up a fight. Trying to get him up, the savior told him to have some backbone, but the boy cried, saying he couldn't depend on that protection forever. Pushing the defender away, the fearful boy justified that he would take a worse beating later, causing cruel laughs from the attackers. Degrading himself again, he heard the young man ask if that submission would really guarantee peace in the future. The guy in the hoodie's expression changed, completely frustrated by the lack of courage of that young man who refused to fight. Turning his back under the heavy rain, the hero walked away, stating that people who don't fight for themselves don't deserve to be saved. Back to the present, the cultivator admits that the fear of harming his parents stopped him from accepting that sincere help. With a strong glow in his eyes, he regrets that, after that sad event, the two didn't bump into each other again in his past life. Finishing the magical treatment on the general, the guy thinks destiny is funny for making them cross paths again like that. The exhaustion aside, the elderly man stands up, opening his arms, surprised to feel many years younger. Handing over a green jar, the boy advises that there are a few more pills inside to give energy to the rest of the family. Charging nothing, the MC gives a friendly smile, stating that now they have a strong connection. Returning to the room, the granddaughter pulls her grandfather into a hug and cries tears of joy upon realizing he was completely cured in an instant. Walking the young man to the exit, Jizu swears eternal loyalty, but the boy downplays the situation, stating it was a simple thing. Cashing in on the debt of gratitude, the cultivator asks his partner to find a spot full of nature's energy for him to train in the morning. Right after, he lists several very hard to find herbs, making the suited man write everything down quickly so as not to waste time. Changing the subject, the guy announces he is going back to studying to ease his mother's mind, earning a promise of absolute secrecy from the mobster. Smoking his cigar, Jisoo suggests throwing a massive party to celebrate the change in the school's board of directors. He mentions that all the students and teachers are dying to find out who was the hero that saved the high school. Refusing the top party with a wave, the young man opines that a quiet activity would be much more appropriate. In the following days, a giant party banner is hung at the school gate announcing a grand autumn sports competition. On the field, the students carry little water bottles while complaining about how weird it is to take this kind of championship seriously. Observing the packed court, some students chat and give thanks that the new administration gave them such a nice break. Jogging lightly on the running track, the cultivator celebrates internally for having created the initial foundation of his dominant infernal body. Running through the circuit, the MC realizes he is going to need a lot of extra magical energy to level up his power base. In the bleachers, the young Xiaoshuan talks to her dad on the phone, confirming that she now studies in the same class and praising the guy's looks. With the event about to start, the cultivator gets ready calmly as he hears the announcement on the speaker. Right at that time, he spots a student walking towards him across the grass. Approaching, the young Ye Haoxuan comments on the gossip that Fan beat up the casino guards and questions if he is really that strong. The sound of the starting gun echoes across the racing field. Giving no room for a reply, the former hare takes off at a terrifying speed, leaving everyone perplexed. In the tennis match, he hits a backhand so hard that he destroys the racket and cracks the court floor. In the long jump, the boy builds up speed and flies through the air without any effort. Landing perfectly, he leaves the judge's jaws on the floor by breaking a world record at that moment. Using his strength in the basketball game, the MC dunks the ball with such a violent impact that he shatters the entire backboard. Running his hand through his hair amid the glass shards, he concludes he needs to take it easier so as not to draw too much attention. In the seats, the students go crazy, yelling that his performance is totally unbelievable. Everything from afar, a mysterious girl pays attention only to the guy's skills. In an isolated location, a man in a suit communicates over the radio that the area is secured and orders the teams to prepare for the attack. The competition continues at the massive school pool. Getting out of the water after securing first place, Fan catches his breath to recover. In the bleachers, a group of girls is completely fascinated by his physique. Annoyed by the screaming fangirls, Xiaoshuan crosses her arms while the general just watches, finding it funny. The older man proudly comments that such a bizarre talent would never stay trapped in such a small environment. Further back, Haoxuan also gets out of the pool completely exhausted and shocked by his partner's speed. In his face, he praises the MC's incredible performance. Rich Kid puts the towel on his shoulder and questions why someone with so many talents had suffered so much before. Unable to understand the drastic change, he confesses it feels like he is facing a completely new person. Extending his hand to his old ally, the cultivator states that he can see him as a Fan who returned from the grave. Suddenly, the female students from the bleachers approach the edge of the pool to congratulate the winner. Quickly surrounding the guy, they shower the young man with compliments and ask if they can become his friends. A group of students in the back whispers about the transformation of the outcast boy who became an influential billionaire. Noticing Haoxuan's presence, the girls also try to include the young master of the Yi family in the conversation. Feeling trapped in that crowd of people, the former hare politely excuses himself to manage an escape. Faced with the sudden request, the girls take a step back, somewhat startled. At the exact same time, the two sprint across the courtyard to get away from all that attention. Watching the scene from afar, Xiaoshuan doesn't understand the reason for that hasty exit. Her grandfather lets out a contagious laugh, celebrating the messy energy of youth. Hidden from the light, shadowy mercenaries walk through the hallways, setting up a silent ambush. Heading down the stairs, the tactical team advances soundlessly through the building. Over the radio, they receive the target's location and clear orders to capture him alive. While the young men walk on the second floor, one of the criminals kicks the classroom door wide open violently. Seeing the armed group blocking the way, Fan comments sarcastically that his intuitions were right. Haoxuan gets ready to fight, suggesting they take down the invaders before the break is over. Suddenly, a scream of pain echoes from inside the room next door. One of the thugs is hurled against the door with full force. Passing by the fallen enemies, the boys head down the hallway while the MC praises his friend for his fighting skills. The former hare notes that the number of invaders scattered around the school is very large. Checking the time, he warns that he needs to finish that cleanup soon so as not to delay the afternoon competitions. In the school cafeteria, the situation remains peaceful among the students. Eating her snack, the girl Xiao Xuan mentions that her grandfather had to step out to handle some work business. She quickly gets lost in thought, remembering the cultivator's impressive physique in the water. Trying to hide her embarrassment, the girl tells herself she needs to keep a good relationship with her family's savior. Grabbing her cell phone, she decides to call Hakshuan to find out where they are. Not too far away, a hitman's hiding spot is compromised when his radio starts beeping non-stop. Before he can react, the thug is taken by surprise by a shadow appearing behind him. With no time to protect himself, the invader is knocked out soundlessly in the blink of an eye. The scene shifts to the giant indoor gym of the sports complex. Surrounded by thugs with heavy weapons, the heads of the Yi family face the danger head-on. The boss of the mercenaries mocks the general, insinuating that the old man no longer has the same strength as before. Maintaining an unshakable posture, the older man asks if the 10-year peacetime has already come to an end. The criminal angrily replies that they came back to settle old scores, no matter the cost. Jizu interrupts the threat, insulting the pack of trained dogs who betrayed their own country. Firing back at the insult, the invading leader states that they only work for whoever offers the highest reward. The red dot of a sniper rifle aims exactly at the targets inside the court. Realizing the advantage on the field, the mercenary maintains a posture of absolute control. Showing no fear, the old general continues to exude an energy of intimidating power. The thug grabs the radio and ironizes the school's security, but rubs it in their faces that everyone there is his hostage. He cranks up the threat, guaranteeing that it only takes one order to wipe out the hairs of the family. Jizu claps back at the insult on the spot, daring the criminal to try his luck. Full of confidence, the mercenary turns on the communicator to trigger his elite sniper team. However, the radio goes dead for a few seconds before transmitting a completely unknown voice. Calm footsteps begin to echo through the bleachers, drawing everyone's attention in the room. Qin Fan appears walking slowly, playing with the stolen radio, looking purely bored. One of the thugs panics, warning the leader that all the other teams have been neutralized. General Li explains that they used the thugs' entry into the country as bait to gather them all in one single place. The cultivator finishes the explanation, saying it was really easy to hunt down all the invaders scattered around the building. Completely shocked, the boss of the thugs can't admit that his plan crumbled so fast. Exuding a glowing blue energy, the guy announces that the practice is over and calls the enemies to the real fight.